Okay. So today we're going to continue working on our third module. We'll see. And what we have for today, we're going to start by looking at, well, by doing a listening practice. We're going to continue watching the same videos that we usually watch. And perhaps we can do some reading exercises today as well as the grammar that we have, which is related to modal verbs. Okay. So we're going to start by watching this.
So, Nick, is there anything else I can do for you?
Yes, maybe. Could I speak to someone else at Kicks?
Excuse me.
Kicks Shoes? May I speak to someone else at Kicks Shoes? You know, Kicks Shoes, the new startup company?
Sorry, Nick, but there's no Kick Shoes here either. In fact, I'd never even heard of them before today.
I don't understand. You mean they don't have an office here?
No, I'm afraid not. But cheer up. Things can be as bad as they seem.
No?
Maybe you could describe this Jackie Baker to me.
Great, thanks. She's about as tall as you are. She's got long black hair. She wears glasses. She was wearing a blue suit when I met her here. She looked like a serious executive.
And she's got blue eyes?
Yes, do you know her?
No. I was just trying to help, you know, like a sketch artist on a cop show. Sorry, I didn't mean to get your hopes up. I don't know her at all.
Okay. So what's going on in the video, in the conversation between Nick and the secretary? What are they talking about?
Nick went to the supposed company of shoes, and the secretary, she has no idea about the company of shoes and about the what is the name?
Okay. Sure.
I don't remember the name. Jackie Baker, yeah, Jackie Baker. And the secretary has no idea about she. And then the secretary says that Tony will be cheer up. And then Tony describes the Jackie, and he says that she is tall and she uses glasses and she seems like a executive. She has eyes blue, and then secretary don't have idea about this. Yeah, and the secretary seems like a funny woman.
Exactly. The secretary has no idea about her. He has no idea about her. He has no idea about her. Siempre, I have no idea, you have no idea, she has no idea about her. And she has blue eyes, right? Not eyes blue. She has blue eyes. Okay, yes. She looks like an executive. She has blue eyes. She's tall, I think. And she was wearing like a blue suit or something. The secretary doesn't know her. Let's see. I don't know what's going to happen with Nick. So what does Nick find out about Kick's shoes?
Kick Shoes never had an office in this building.
Exactly. He never had an office in this building. How does Nick describe Jackie Baker?
She has blue eyes, brown hair, and was wearing a dark suit.
His blue eyes, yeah, brown hair, and was wearing a dark suit. I don't know if it was a dark suit. I think it was a blue suit. Maybe a business suit.
Glasses. Yeah, first.
Right? She has glasses as well. She wears glasses. Yes. How well does the receptionist know Jackie Baker?
She doesn't know her at all.
She doesn't know her at all. We are right. Exactly. Really well. So in this case, for example, when Nick is describing Jackie Baker, she's mentioning a couple of adjectives to describe her, right? It's like she's tall, that's an adjective. Adjectives are words that are used to describe things, to describe nouns, to describe people, to describe places, to describe concepts, ideas, anything at all, really. So nouns are used to describe everything that we can name. Adjectives are used to describe everything we can name, or nouns. So for example, Jackie is, let's see how Jackie is.
Maybe you could describe this Jackie Baker to me.
Great, thanks. She's about as tall as you are. She's got long black hair. She wears glasses. She was wearing a blue suit when I met her here. She looked like a serious executive.
And she's got blue eyes.
So she has certain characteristics that are mentioned as adjectives. Now in the beginning, he makes a comparison. He says,
As bad as they seem?
No?
Maybe you could describe this Jackie Baker to me.
Great, thanks. She's about as tall as you are.
what does he just say? What does he say?
She's tall as you are.
Exactly. She's about as tall as you are, he says.
Jackie Baker to me.
Great, thanks. She's about as tall as you are. She's got...
Right? She's about as tall as you are. She's about as tall as you are. So in this case, we have an adjective, tall, that is describing Jackie. But not only is Nick describing Jackie, Nick is also comparing Jackie's size to the secretary, right? He is comparing Jackie and the secretary and saying that they are equally tall. They are equally tall, right? So she is about as tall as you are. This is a comparison that Nick is making. She's about as tall as you are. We also had another comparison right before. Try to hear what the secretary says, and then you will tell me.
But cheer up. Things can be as bad as they seem.
So what does the secretary say there?
Could you repeat this, Theodore?
Yeah, of course.
Cheer up. Things can be as bad as they seem.
Things can be better than seem.
No. Here, let's listen again.
But cheer up. Things can be as bad as they seem.
No, what does she say?
Cheer up. The things can be better than seem.
No. Things can't be.
But cheer up. Things can be as bad as they seem.
No?
Things can't be.
Better.
No, she doesn't say better. She uses an adjective, and it's a comparison. It's the same type of comparison that Nick did in the past.
But cheer up. Things can be as bad as they seem.
Things
As be better as be as.
almost cheer up. Things can be as bad as they seem. Things can be as bad as they seem. Las cosas no son, pueden no ser tan malo como parece, no tan malas como parece. Things can be as bad as they seem. As bad as they seem. So now the secretary is comparing the way that things are versus the way that things seem, right? And she says things can't be as bad as they seem. No pueden ser tan mal como parece. Things can be as bad as they seem. right? And now this is the structure that we're going to be learning, how to compare two things in order to say that they are equal or that they are not equal in this case. Okay, do you have any questions before we start with that? So let's see. Okay. So let's listen to the grammar coach.
Hi. I was just thinking about my friend Andrea. She's a journalist like Talia. I think she's just as smart as Talia, but she's not as ambitious. As smart as and not as ambitious are comparisons with as. Let's learn about them.
So now the grammar coach is comparing Talia to one of her friends, and she says she is as smart as Talia, but she's not as ambitious. Right? As smart as Talia, but not as ambitious. So we are comparing two people. We can compare to things, we can compare to animals, whatever two elements that we want to compare, using as and an adjective, right? Smart, ambitious, driven, tall, bad, good, positive, important, and all of those words that we use to describe things. Let's see. It says sometimes we want to talk about ways two people or two things or two elements are the same, when we want to say that two things are the same. To talk about similarities, we use this structure. Because remember that we have other types of comparatives as well. When things are not similar and we want to say that something is more or something is less, we use other types of comparatives, right? We say, for example, Jackie is taller than the secretary. Jackie is taller than the secretary. So taller means, so Jackie and the secretary are different. We're not talking about the similarities, we're talking about the differences, right? And we are saying that one is more, one is less. But in this case, we use this structure when we talk about similarities, when we want to compare things that are equal or that are not equal. Sometimes we want to emphasize on that lack of similarity. So for example, in this case, the receptionist says, or Nick says, she's as tall as you are. So Nick means that Jackie and the receptionist are the same height, right? They are the same height. They are equally tall. She's as tall as you are. She's the same height as you. Sometimes to talk about ways two people or two things are different, we can use the negative form of the structure. For example, things are not as bad as they seem. In this case, it's the same structure, as tall as you, as bad as they seem, but we have a negative. We're saying that they are not equal, right? To talk about the differences. In this case, we talk about the similarities. In this case, we talk about the differences. So it basically can be negative and it can be affirmative as well. But we are comparing. She's as tall as you are. Things are not as bad as they seem. So we use it to talk about, to make comparisons, to emphasize on the similarities or on the differences of two elements. Now, how is the structure? How do we form this, this structure? Let's see. So it's pretty simple. We need element 1 or element A, and then we need a verb. We always need a verb. It can be any verb that you want. And then we need the structure as, okay, I'm going to write it down. Maybe element A plus verb, we said, plus, and now we need the structure as, adjective, as, another element, element B that we are comparing, and the second verb is not mandatory, but we can use it. This verb, I'm going to put it in brackets. So let's see some examples so that you understand better what I mean with this structure. So we want to compare two elements. Let's say that we're comparing two people, my mom and my dad. So I'm comparing my two parents. So element A could be my mom, right? I can say my mom, then I need a verb. I can use whatever verb I want. For example, I can say my mom works. Let's say that is going to be the verb that I'm using. My mom works. And then I need this structure as, adjective as. So for example, I can say my mom works as hard as my dad, right? My mom works as hard as my dad. Now, if I want, I can add a second verb, and if not, I can leave it there. Either way is going to be fine. So my mom works as hard as my dad works, for example, if I want to use the verb. But if not, I can eliminate that verb. So we are comparing two elements, element A, which happens to be my mom, and element B, who's now my dad. And we are comparing one adjective, right? In this case, hard, and a different action, a verb works. So my mom works as hard as my dad, or she works as hard as my dad works. Now, it's more common to use the verb to be. For example, if I want to compare elephants and, I don't know, if I want to compare flies and mosquitoes, maybe I can say flies are as small as mosquitoes. So in this case, I have the same elements. I am comparing two elements, flies and mosquitoes, and I am comparing one characteristic of them, their size, right? I'm talking about their size now. I'm comparing one characteristic of mosquitoes and flies. And if I want to say that they are equally small, I can say flies are as small as mosquitoes. It's very common to use the verb to be. But at the end of the day, I'm using the same elements as we already said. We have the first element, we have the verb, we have as, we have the adjective, we have another as, and we have element B, right? And the second verb is completely optional. So I am using the same, but in this case, I'm changing the verb to the verb to be. Flies are as small as mosquitoes. I can also say, for example, what happens if I want to compare two things that are different? Let's say I want to compare flies and elephants. I can say flies are not as small as elephants, for example. Right? In this case, we're comparing two things, and we want to say that they are not the same, that they are different. We're focusing on the differences between flies and elephants. So in that case, everything's still the same, but the verb is going to be in the negative form, right? The verb is no longer are, but it's negative, are not. Flies are not as small as elephants, but it's still the same idea. But in this case, I'm saying that they are different, right? They are not equally small. So basically, that is the structure that we have here. My mom is as smart as my dad. I don't know. Nicole is as strong as, let's say, Nick, for example. So it depends on what we want to compare, but technically this is a structure. It can be affirmative. Nicole is as smart as Nick, or it could be negative. Nicole is not as smart as Nick. Okay. ¿Entiende? Do you have any questions? Is it clear? Is it okay?
Yeah, and so we can use as adjective as with other times, like in present. I don't know. My mom, or maybe I don't know. My mom has worked as hard as my dad.
Use it in any verb tense, in any person, singular, plural. And actually, what you are saying is something is also reminding me of the fact that we're not only going to use adjectives. We can also use adverbs. Remember that we use an adjective when we're describing nouns, ¿no? Cuando describimos sustantivos. But what happens if I want to describe a verb? En este caso, hard no es un adjetivo, es un adverbio, it's an adverb. ¿Por qué? Porque hard no está describiendo a mi mamá. It's describing how she works, ¿no? Está describiendo un verbo. ¿Cómo trabaja? Trabaja duro. Entonces, hard, aunque parezca un adjetivo y es un adverbio también. En cambio, small sí es un adjetivo. ¿Por qué es un adjetivo? Porque está describiendo a las moscas. Entonces, small está describiendo un noun, las moscas. En cambio, hard está describiendo cómo trabaja, el verbo. Entonces, puede ser con adjetivos también, ¿no? En cualquier tiempo. Digamos, pasado. Entonces, pasado o presente perfecto. Podría decir, por ejemplo, say, I have lived as happily as, right? I have lived as happily as you. So in this case, we have element A, I, we have element B, you. And what we're comparing now is the way that I have lived, right? The way that we have lived, la forma en la que hemos vivido. Es decir, estamos describiendo el verbo, ya no estamos describiendo el sustantivo, no me estoy describiendo a mí, sino a la acción de vivir. Entonces, en este caso es un adverbio, ¿no? Pero funciona de la misma manera. I have lived as happily as you. Entonces, puede ser un adjetivo, puede ser un adverbio también. Let's say, I can finish this report as quickly as you. I can finish this report as quickly as you. Another example. Tenemos los dos elementos. En este caso ya no nos estamos describiendo a nosotros, no estamos describiendo el noun, sino que estamos describiendo el verbo. ¿Cómo podemos terminar? Rápidamente. So I can finish this report as quickly as you. It's the same structure. I'm using modals. I can use different tenses. I can use the future tense as well. I will, let's say, I will run as quickly as you will, for example. It doesn't necessarily have to be simple present, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the verb to be. It can be an adjective or it can be an adverb. Is that okay? Any other questions?
Yeah, for the negative form, simple present, for example, my mom doesn't work.
My mom doesn't work as hard as my dad. El negativo siempre se pone en el verbo, ¿no? Entonces, no es acá o en ninguna otra parte, siempre es en la parte del verbo. Entonces, puede ser are not, que es el negativo del verbo to be, o puede ser does not work, que sería el negativo del verbo work. Podría ser haven't lived. I haven't lived as happily as you. Yo no he vivido tan felizmente como tú. I haven't lived as happily as you. El negativo se pone siempre en el verbo, ¿no? Cualquier forma verbal que sea, se utiliza el negativo de la forma verbal que estemos usando. Si es presente, va a ser doesn't, don't, si es un verbo normal. Si es el verbo to be, sería is not, are not, am not. Si es el presente perfecto, el negativo es have not, ¿no? Have not lived. Si es un modal, can, sería cannot or can't, ¿no? I can't finish this report as quickly as you. You need to do it for me because I can't finish this report as quickly as you. Entonces, el negativo siempre se pone en el verbo. Buena observación, buena pregunta.
Okay. Okay.
Any other question?
No.
All right. So let's see what else we have here. It says, when the meaning is clear, we often leave out the second part of the comparison. Entonces, esto es lo que te decía. El verbo es opcional, ¿no? Por ejemplo, en el anterior, creo que teníamos el verbo. She is as tall as you are. Entonces, tenemos el verbo. Pero cuando es obvio, lo podemos dejar. She's as tall as you. Está perfecto. O she's as tall as you are. Things aren't as bad as they seem. En este caso no es obvio, porque no es el mismo verbo, ¿no? Acá es el verbo to be, acá es el verbo parecer. Las cosas no son tan malas como parecen. Things are not as bad as they seem. Aquí no lo podríamos dejar, porque si lo quitamos el seem, sería como si fuera un verbo to be, pero no es el verbo to be, es el verbo seem, son verbos diferentes. Pero en caso de que fuera el mismo verbo y es obvio, lo podemos, no necesariamente lo tenemos que poner. Dean is a good player, but is he as good as Nick? Sure, he's just as good as Nick. He is just as good as Nick, as good as Nick. Lo decimos, he is just as good as Nick is. Entonces el verbo opcional, si es obvio, lo podemos quitar. Y esta palabra just se puede utilizar mucho para enfatizar que es igual, exactamente lo mismo. He's just as good as Nick. This chef is just as professional as my previous job. Or let's say, this gym is just as big as the one you worked before. Entonces, no necesariamente va a ser el mismo verbo tampoco, ¿no? Por ejemplo, this gym is just as big as the one you went before, por ejemplo. En este caso no son los mismos verbos, no tiene por qué ser el mismo verbo, ¿no? En la primera parte decimos this gym is, el verbo to be, pero luego decimos as big as, the one, el otro elemento, you went before, ¿no? Entonces no necesariamente tiene que ser el mismo verbo, igual que en things aren't as bad as they seem, ¿no? Teníamos dos verbos diferentes, verbo to be, are not, y luego el verbo parecer. Entonces, si fuese el mismo verbo, a veces es un poco redundante, entonces sí lo puedes saltar. Pero si no es el mismo verbo, hay que mencionarlo.
Okay.
Entonces, esa es la estructura. Is it okay? Do you have any questions about that? Okay. So let's practice a little bit. Okay. So we're going to compare these elements here. We're going to do a few of them and then we'll move on to other ones. Let's start. We can use affirmative forms or we can use negative forms, depending on the context, depending on the picture that we see. For example, in the first one, I'm going to start by giving you the example. We can say Dora. You see that both are equally ugly, so we can say Dora is just or is as ugly as a witch, for example. Right? In this case, I am comparing the two of them and it's an affirmative because I think that they are the same, right? I can also say Dora is just as ugly as a witch, but maybe if she wasn't that ugly, I can say Dora is not as ugly as a witch. So that is the first one. What about the second? We have the countryside and a desert, and we're talking about how dry they are. What could you say?
The countryside is not as dry as a desert.
Exactly. The countryside is el campo, no? The countryside is not as dry as a desert. What about the next? Number 3.
Boris is strong as, no, Boris is as strong as Mike.
Exactly. Boris is as strong as Mike. What about the next one? We have a gas lamp and a modern lamp.
A gas lamp is not as bright as a modern lamp.
Exactly. A gas lamp is not as bright as a modern lamp. Bright, brillosa en realidad, pero en este caso es que no ilumina tanto, ¿no? No es tan fuerte, se podría decir. What about number 5?
A green car is not as expensive as a red car.
Okay, yes. What about the next? We have whiny and a pig.
Whiny is as dirty as a pig.
What about the next one?
A housewife is not as busy as a bee.
Okay. A housewife is not as busy as a bee, but maybe in this case, they look like they're equally busy, right? So can we
Is as busy as a bee.
Exactly. A housewife is as busy as a bee. What about our next?
The man is not as bad as a hippo.
Exactly. We can say the man is not as bad as a hippo, or we can technically say the man is, let's say, thinner than a hippo. The hippo is thinner than the man. Yes. What about number 9?
George is as hungry as a wolf.
George is as hungry as a wolf. Exactly. Now, in this case, all of them are with the verb to be, but they don't necessarily have to be. So, for example, we could say, George comes home as hungry as a wolf, for example. Okay, so he comes home as hungry as a wolf. We can use different verbs as well if you want. What about number?
Okay. The winner is as proud as a peacock.
Exactly. The winner is as proud as a peacock. Or we can also use different tenses, right? We could say the winner was as proud as a peacock. And what about 11?
The boy is not as brave as a lion.
Boy is not as brave as a lion. Perfect. Let's see. Check our answers. Okay. This one is incorrect. I don't know why. I think Boris maybe is not as strong as Mike. Mike seems a little bit, I don't know though. I don't know. And in this case, the boy is not as brave as a lion. Okay, maybe he is. I don't know. But it's okay. Okay, Ali, do you have any questions so far?
No, not it.
Right, let's see. Okay. So let's see what else we have. We probably have something for speaking. Okay, so for speaking and for vocabulary to learning some idioms, we have a short explanation on how to ask for permission and how to offer help. For example, in the video that we watched, the receptionist at the end asked Nick, "Is there anything else I can do for you? Is there anything else I can do for you?" So it's a way of offering help, right? And also, Nick, I think it was in the previous video that we saw yesterday. Nick is like, "Can I look at that?" And Luke wanted to look at the list of places in the building. Right? So can I look at that? So there are different ways to ask for permission. For example, here we have some words. We have, do you mind if? Do you know what that structure means? Do you know how to use it? Do you mind?
I have a question. Is like embedded questions too?
Yes, in a way. It's like an embedded question because we say, do you mind if I use your phone? So it's not directly, do I use your phone? Is do you mind if I use your phone? It is like an embedded question, but in this case, most of them are yes/no questions, right? So they are not going to contain the words like what, when, where, how. They are yes/no questions, so most of them contain if, right? And these are not embedded questions. These are just modals. But the first two are like embedded questions.
Okay.
So do you mind means te importa? You can also say would you mind? Te importaría? Would you mind? Do you mind? Do you mind if I use your phone? ¿Te importa si tu teléfono? Do you mind if we start a little bit later today? Do you mind if I borrow some money? Would you mind if I use your car? Let's say. It's a way for a way of asking for permission. Do you mind? ¿Te importa? ¿Te importaría? Y para responder, usualmente decimos, it's okay, I don't mind. No me importaría, o sea, no me molesta. Es como también te molesta, ¿no? Te molestaría, te molesta, y tienes que decir, no, I don't mind, no me molesta. I don't mind. Do you mind if I use your car? It's okay, I don't mind. And if you do mind, then you are going to say something like, I'm sorry, and you explain why, usually, right? Or you just say, no vamos a decir, sí me importa, I do mind, porque sería un poco grosero. Pero si en caso de que quisieras decirle que no a esa persona que te está diciendo, do you mind if I use your phone? And let's say you don't want to lend your phone, you can say, no, I'm sorry. Right? Entonces, con el sorry, you say that you don't want for you to lend your phone. Right? So depending. Pero para responder que sí es, I don't mind, no me importa. Do you mind o would you mind también puede ser, would you mind, ¿te importaría? Incluso un poquito más amable. Would you mind if I don't know, come by later? Would you mind if or would you mind if let's say, if I turn on the lights? It's just a polite way of asking for permission to do something. Is it okay so far?
It's okay.
Okay, then we have this expression, is it okay if I, which is basically the same. Está bien, sí. Is it okay if we start a little bit later? Is it okay if I use your phone, if I use your car, if I borrow some money? Is it okay if I leave? Is it okay if I turn on the lights? Is it okay if I open the windows? So is it okay? Estaría bien. Is it okay if? To answer, you can say, yes, sure, it's okay. No, claro, estaría bien, está bien, no hay problema. Sure, it's okay. Is it okay if I do this? Sure, it's okay. Or go ahead, no, adelante. And to say no, maybe you can say something like, no, just direct, right? No, I'm sorry, or no. And you explain why. Is it okay if I use your phone? I'm sorry, but no. Just no, depend. And then these are just modals, right? Modals of permission. Son modales de permiso. Can I, could I, may I. Los tres significan lo mismo. Puedo, podría. Can I use your phone? May I use your phone? Could I use your phone? Los tres modales nos sirven para pedir permiso. Can I, could I, may I. Can I turn on the lights? Can I use your computer? Can I stay a little bit? Could I, may I. Entonces, los modales de la forma más simple, pero estas son expresiones muy comunes también. Do you mind? Would you mind? Is it okay? Ways of sounding polite when asking for permission. Okay. What else we have? And here we have the answers, just what we were saying. So for example, if I say, is it okay if I use your phone? If you want to give permission, you can say, sure, no problem. Okay, not a problem, no problem. Sure, go ahead, adelante. Fine with me, right? It's fine with me. It is fine with me o solamente fine with me. Is it okay if I use your phone? Fine with me. Está bien conmigo, no hay ningún problema. Be my guest es una expresión que significa, no es literalmente semi invitado, sino que adelante, ¿no? Be my guest, do whatever you want. Pero también tiene a veces una implicación un poco sarcástica. Por ejemplo, did you think that you could use my phone without my permission? Well, be my guest. In that case, you're saying it like a little bit ironically to actually say that that person didn't ask for your permission. Be my guest can be a little bit negative in some contexts. So I recommend not to use it too much. Depends on the way, on the tone, depends on the context, of course. So generally can be used as a way of giving permission, but also as a sarcastic way of mocking somebody. Help yourself means like you can use whatever you want and like it's your home. Let's say that somebody is paying you a visit and that person says, is it okay if I open the fridge? Or is it okay if I pour myself some water? Is it okay if I pour myself some water? Si me sirvo de agua. You're like, yes, help yourself. So that means do it yourself. I'm not going to do it for you, but you go ahead and do it. But it's a nice way of saying it, right? It sounds a little bit rude, but it's a nice way of saying it. So no problem, sure, go ahead, fine with me, you'll help yourself. And if we want to deny permission, we want to say, no, I don't want you to do this. You can say, I'd rather you didn't. In this case, this expression is really common. I'd rather you didn't, or I prefer if you didn't, which basically means that preferiría si no lo haces. I'd rather you didn't, si no lo hicieras. I would rather you didn't. I would rather you didn't use my phone if I'm not here. Y se puede utilizar para otras cosas también. I would rather you didn't turn on the lights. I'd rather you didn't, let's say, call me at night. Or sorry, but, and then we explain, sorry, but I'm using it right now. Sorry, but I can't. Sorry, but I don't have signal, whatever. Usually just saying no, sorry, it's fine. You don't necessarily have to explain too much, but you have those expressions that are very common. And then for the second question, do you mind or would you mind? If you want to give permission, you can say, no, I don't. Do you mind if I use your phone? No, I don't. Go ahead. It means, no, no me importaría. Adelante. Now, if you want to deny permission, well, actually, yes, I do. Esto es un poco grosero. It's a little bit rude. It's not so nice. It's like maybe if you're saying it in a way when they are asking you for something that's, let's say, that's crossing the line. So let's say somebody is paying you a visit and that person is like, do you mind if I throw a party at your house? Then that's a little bit crossing the line. So maybe you can answer in a stronger way, and you can say, well, actually, yes, I do mind if you do that. So yeah, it wouldn't be okay if you did that. But if you want to sound nice and you want to deny permission in a nice way, you can just try to say sorry or something like that in order to say no. Because if you say I do, it's a little bit rude. Depending on the context, of course, but generally it's not such a nice way of saying. So those are some expressions we have. What about now? Do you have any questions about these expressions?
No, no teacher.
Okay. Let's see if we have something else. With modals, we don't usually answer the questions with modals. So for example, okay, in this case, okay, this is about offering help. Can I help you with that? Do you need some help? Do you need a hand? Can I give you a hand? ¿Puedo darte una mano? Do you need a hand? Do you need some help? Do you need something? Let me help you with that. Maybe I can help you with that. And you can accept and you can say, yes, thanks, sure, I appreciate it. That's nice of you. That's very kind of you. You're very nice. Thank you. Can I help you? Is there anything I can help you with? Do you need some help? Do you need a hand? ¿Necesitas una mano? Do you need a hand? Or just let me help you. Déjame ayudar. Depending. If you, let's say, maybe there's some people that don't want help. So it's always better to ask, right? It's always better to ask rather than just saying, let me help you. And approaching the person, it's always better to ask, do you need any help? Can I help you with anything? And let the other person answer. And if we want to decline help, we don't want anybody to help us, we can say, it's all right, I got it. I got it means lo tengo. Puedo yo solo. It's all right, I got it. No thanks, I'm fine. Estoy bien, ¿no? I'm fine. I'm all right, también. I'm fine, estoy bien. I'm all right, también lo mismo, estoy bien. That's okay, I can do it myself. Usualmente no vamos a decir I can do it myself. Lo más común, I got it. That's okay, I got it. No, but thanks anyway. Esto también. Thanks anyway. Gracias de todas formas. Thank you anyway. I appreciate your offer. Aprecio tu oferta. I appreciate your offer. Some ways of declining help and some ways of accepting help. Is that all right?
Yeah, teacher.
So that's what we have for speaking. Do you have any questions so far?
No.
Yeah. Let's see what we have. What do you see? Okay. So, by the way, what do you think about the story of Nick's story? Do you think that things are as bad as they seem for Nick? Why or why not?
I think Tanya and Tony were decided both about the company of shoes. Yeah.
Exactly. They were both decided about the shoe company. Exactly. They both thought that there was a company in the building. So they look confused, they look disappointed perhaps. Talia now thinks that Nick is lying to her. What will Newsline report about Nick? Remember that Talia is working on this story. She works for Newsline, that is the news company that they have, communication company. And Talia says that the story was going to be aired that night, right? Like in an hour, I think. So what do you think this report is going to say about Nick?
Maybe the reporter will say that Nick, before days ago, received $1,000,000, I guess, because she has a treatment with another person for he lost the game.
Exactly. She has a deal, no? There's a treatment. Treatment means tratamiento when we talk about medicine, medical treatment. So she has a deal. So yes, probably the report will say that Nick actually took a bribe, ¿no? Que tomó un soborno. He took a bribe, fue sobornado. He accepted $100,000 to sit out a game, right? Not to play in one of their games. So it's probably not going to look good for Nick. We don't know. Okay. So we're going to okay, we did the exercise already. We're going to work on this one. It says, on the left side of a piece of paper, choose and write down 5 or 6 adjectives from the word pool below. Next to each adjective, write the names of 2 or 3 people you know, including yourself, who fit the adjective. Then you, with your group, discuss the people using us and not us. Okay, so let's talk about some people that you know, and I want you to try to compare them. So, for example, who's the most patient person that you know?
My dad.
Okay. Why do you say that he's patient?
Because he never lost the head when he is having a problem, or maybe when I don't know how to say mi hermano menor.
You can say your little sibling.
Yeah, the little brother. And he is just a child, so my father can control this type of situations.
Right? Your father can then control these type of situations. He never loses it. If you want to say lose their mind, you can say loses his mind in this case. He never loses it. Nunca se pierde, nunca. He's able to keep calm. Okay. Do you think that you are as patient as your dad?
Yeah, I think, but obviously, while I growing, maybe I will be more patient.
Okay. So yeah, if you want to say, if I ask you, do you think that you're as patient as your dad? You want to say yes, you can say yes, I think so. El so significa, bueno, se utiliza para cualquier cosa que ya se mencionó antes, ¿no? Por ejemplo, do you think that it's going to rain? I think so. Creo que sí, I think so. Do you think that Nick is guilty? I think so. Or I don't think so. No creo. I don't think so. Entonces, el so se utiliza con el verbo think un montón, también con otros verbos, por ejemplo, believe, pero mayormente con el think, y puedes decir I think so, I don't think so. Okay? So I think so, I don't think so. Yeah. What about the oldest person that you know? Who's the oldest person that you know?
Maybe my grandma. Yeah.
What is the oldest person that you know? How old is she?
85.
85. Okay. All right. Is she able to do things on her own? Does she need help? Maybe can she still walk?
No, she needs help for everything, but she talk with all, like I don't know, she's a teenager, something like this, but she needs help for everything.
Okay. So she needs help with everything. She needs help with everything, but so she is very social. She likes to talk to people.
Mhm.
Okay, nice. What about the most ambitious person that you know?
My other brother, yeah,
Okay. Why do you say that he's ambitious?
because he needs to maybe, I don't know, say escalar.
Like literally escalar o en un sentido más general? Escalar una general.
Como tienes
You
que,
grow up.
yeah, she needs to grow up in short run. I know that he changed her job like every 6 months, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So he needs to grow professionally and he changes jobs. Cuando decimos cambiarse de escuela, cambiarse de universidad, cambiarse de trabajo, cambiarse de casa, siempre es to change. Y luego decimos, por ejemplo, change jobs. Or to change schools, en plural. To change houses. To change universities. So he changes jobs like every single month. Every 6 months, he said, right? That's a lot. What does he do?
Why? I think that he has the opportunity to maybe other companies and empresarios gives him better offers to work.
Okay, that's nice. So he's constantly ascending, looking for better opportunities. What does he do?
Actually, I guess he's working in a company. What's the name? I forget. But the last one was frijol.
Okay,
I don't know what is the name.
okay, good. What about the laziest person that you know? Or, sorry, I forgot to ask you. Do you think you're as ambitious as him?
Yeah, I am as ambitious as my older brother.
Okay, why do you say that?
Because I can't stop. Mm, Maybe if I have the opportunity to enter a new project, I will, or a new, I don't know, new opportunity with everything.
Okay, good. So you don't miss opportunities.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. What about the laziest person you know?
Maybe some of my friends, Marita, maybe.
Okay, why do you think that she's lazy?
Because she is sleeping all the time, and this is the I know her favorite activity, I guess.
Okay. Is she your friend from university?
No, he's from no school. I don't know. We are friends since babies because her mom is friends of my mom.
Okay. So her mom is friends with your mom.
Mhm.
Okay. So is she going to university?
I think actually she is like I stop at university for this year.
I'm sorry, she is?
Stop for university for this year.
Okay, okay. She has stopped university for this year. Okay, nice. Do you think that you're as lazy as her?
No, I'm not as lazy as Marita.
Okay. Okay, adding good. So, what do you think? Do you have any questions about what we did today? Any
No.
of the homework?
Mm.
Okay, then. Perfect. So let's see. Right now. So please, before you go, don't forget today's daily survey, which should be on your screen. And I will be seeing you tomorrow in class.
Okay. Okay, teacher. See you
Okay, bye.
tomorrow. Bye.